Are we live?
No,
Okay.
I'm just recording.
I
was gonna have you go live, but it takes too long to get started.
So in regards to insulin resistance, so go ahead and well, I guess we're not live, so you don't have to ask me again. So when it comes to insulin resistance, okay, and keep in mind type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance that's gone pathological, okay? So when it comes to blood glucose, really the range that I like it to be, fasting blood glucose, I like it to be anywhere between 85 and 100, okay? Technically anything above 100, so anything 100 plus, you're insulin resistant. Okay, and anything above 125, they call type 2 diabetes. Okay, so this insulin resistance, another name for it is like pre-diabetes. Okay, so the best way I can explain it, usually people get it after this, is when you eat food, what happens to your blood glucose? Does it go up or does it go down?
Goes up.
Goes up every single time. Doesn't matter if you're 100% perfectly healthy, doesn't matter if you have insulin resistance, doesn't matter if you have type 2 diabetes, every single time you eat your food, your blood glucose will go up, okay? Well, glucose is absolutely useless inside of the bloodstream. Useless there, okay? It has to get inside of a cell to where it can be burned for energy. The example I always give is if you can imagine that you're on like a really long road trip, okay, and there was like you were in the middle of nowhere, and there was no gas stations, no buildings for miles, okay, and the car's fuel gauge is coming close to empty, okay, and all of a sudden the car comes to a sputtering stop, and you've run out of gas, but there's nothing for miles, okay. Well, that's okay because in the trunk of the car we've got these filled gas canisters of gasoline. Okay. Well, how come the car isn't running? It's because the fuel is not inside of the fuel tank to where it belongs. It's the same thing with glucose. Is there's very little need for it in the blood. It has to get into the cell to where it can be burned for energy. Now there is a signaling peptide, okay, or hormone called insulin. In insulin, what it does is it opens the door to allow glucose to get inside of the cell, okay? And what happens is that if insulin's main job is to take glucose from the blood and shove it into the cell to where it belongs, if there's chronic periods of time where there's high blood glucose, our body needs to put that somewhere, okay? It can't just stay high in the blood. So what happens to insulin is our body over-secretes insulin in hopes that it can just shove it inside of cells.
Okay.
Now, with every single hormone in the body, not just insulin, what happens is there's these feedback mechanisms. So if hormones become too high, what happens is the cell grows a little bit more resistant to insulin, stops listening to it, okay? Well, if a cell really stops listening to insulin or doesn't listen to it as much, and insulin's main job is to get glucose from the bloodstream to put it inside of that cell, and it can no longer do that as efficiently, what does that do to the energy production of that cell? Drops it.
Drop it down.
Goes down, okay? One of the biggest things that we see with insulin resistance is fatigue, and especially like post-meal fatigue, okay? So people, they'll eat a whole bunch of carbohydrates and then they want to take like an afternoon nap, or energy fluctuations throughout the day. That's a really, really big one. So what happens in people who have insulin resistance is, like I said, the cells stop listening to insulin, glucose can no longer get inside of the cell as much, okay, and energy production decreases in that cell. Now, this is energy from not only keeping us from feeling energized, but this is energy needed for virtually every single function in your body. This is things like I said, not only energy production, but replicating new cells, making hormones, for healthy brain function. One of the biggest areas that's impacted by this is the brain, okay? So the story doesn't end there. If glucose can no longer get inside of the cell, it bounces off the cell, gets sent to a different area of the body, and this area is called our liver. And what the liver does is it says, hey, I don't care how high our blood glucose is. What I'm going to do is if the cells aren't using it, if they're not burning it for energy right now, what I'm going to do is pull in all of this glucose and convert it into a different molecule and store it on our body for future energy. So if we go through periods of starvation, we'll have some stuff packed around our body. Okay. What do you think it stores it as?
The stuff we don't want.
The stuff we don't want.
That they all complain about.
So people who are insulin resistant tend to have a harder time losing weight too. Okay. So the liver will create fat, and not only in the form of fat, like around the belly and in areas that we don't want it, but usually what we'll see is like an increase in cholesterol, an increase in triglycerides. We'll see a decrease in the good cholesterol, HDL, and an increase in the bad cholesterol, LDL. Yeah. That's a classic pattern for insulin resistant that we can see. Yeah. So individuals who are eating more carbohydrate-based foods are increasing their blood glucose even more. Like bananas, okay, or rice, or bread, or corn, okay. That'll increase your blood glucose even more. And guess what? Your body over-secretes insulin. So people have diabetes, not because they have too little insulin. Their body has so much insulin. So much insulin. The cells have grown more resistant. And some docs will have diabetics take more insulin, and that works for a little bit. It's almost like yelling at like a bad boss or something, okay? And your boss is constantly yelling at you. And all of a sudden, you make a mistake, so he yells at you harder. But every day he's continuously yelling at you. After a while, you just kind of tune it out. Okay, yeah. So
it's like teenagers.
Yeah, or they're just on their phones.
Yeah, whatever.
The cells are doing the exact same thing. So whether your blood glucose is too high, or you have periods where your blood glucose is if your blood glucose is too low. Are you going to have glucose inside the cell? No.
And then that's why they want to grab the carbs when it drops, because they feel
jittery,
like they need it.
They get lightheaded, they get irritable, they get hangry. It's like the Snickers commercial. Snickers are probably the worst thing.
Gosh,
So regardless if your blood glucose is too high over a period of time, or if your blood glucose is too low over a period of time, that's going to affect energy production throughout the cell. One of the worst things that you can do is spike that up with something quick.
Yeah.
Okay, like a soda or rice or banana, those types of things. Shoot for a little bit of carbs, maybe mixed with like a protein or fat. Okay, because if you eat something like a banana or something like white rice, that's going to spike it up super fast, and that spike is always followed by like this huge subsequent drop. And then these are the people that are riding the blood sugar roller coaster. They have energy fluctuations throughout the day. They have sleep issues. They have brain fog. Those types of things.
Okay.
The best thing that you can do is if you pair it with a protein or a fat, or if you have some type of fibrous fruit like an apple with almond butter or something like that. Instead of this huge spike in blood glucose, it's like a timed release, and this timed release increase in blood glucose is more manageable.
I was telling them that what I noticed that helped me a lot was when I do my avocado, and I have that with like some chopped up vegetables, and I always feel so much better. Yeah. And even if I need it, I'll even add a little bit of chicken with it too, or like chicken with olives, something like that combined. Something that's
a little bit more stable. And if you, like I said, if you increase it too quickly, it's like that I Love Lucy episode where the chocolates are going down the conveyor belt, and all of a sudden if more chocolates come in, she's putting them in her mouth, she's throwing them down her shirt, the body's doing the same thing with glucose. It can no longer get inside the cell, so it's shoving it to the liver's producing fat, which, by the way, to take glucose and to turn it into fat requires an enormous amount of energy. That's why people with insulin resistant, though, if they eat a whole bunch of carbs, they get post-meal fatigue, or they have to get like a nap and whatnot. So we went a little bit more in depth than...
No, that was great. Thank you so much. Thank you.